Yeah. Somebody asked a question, so I just took the microphone. I didn't have one teed up.
They won their league, and they won their tournament, and they won 14 straight games. So that's how far I got in 2 minutes being up into the office. Obviously, he was at Creighton with Coach Lusk, so they were assistants together for Greg McDermott there. So Paul was obviously familiar with him, and he was Rayfield Davis's prep school coach. At La Lumiere. And so I've been to his practices, and very good coach. Obviously, going from Creighton to High Point, and how successful they've been in a short amount of time is very impressive.
So what's your process now in terms of getting ready for that? What's your scouting apparatus?
Well, we'll watch. We got to watch them. We got to watch tape.
Right. Do you have assistants working ahead like you had in the past?
No, you don't work ahead and try to pick from 13 schools. You wait to kind of see who it is. Your range you're going to be in from a 4, 5, 6. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of opportunities there to play a lot of different people. It'd just be wasted time. But then right as you find out who you're going to play, then you jump right into it. But it just happened.
Coach, I think I saw that you guys, it's been 8 years, 8 tournaments in a row that you guys are a top 4 seed. No one else has done it more than 4 times in a row now. Just what does that say about kind of the program that you've built here?
Yeah, just, you want to have consistency, and you want to be able to, each year, no matter what happens, you got to be able to project to the next season. And sometimes where you sit, everybody's always has the answers for that, right? Especially after you lose games. But it's harder than you think, because it's like scheduling now. Scheduling's hard because before you knew who to be returning, and if they did take somebody, they had to sit out a year. And so now you could schedule people and you think they're gonna be a really good team, and they're not, and vice versa. So the same thing is kind of your projection for next year's team. For us, our projection was with Daniel Jacobson being a part of it. And so now that's one of our weaknesses, that rim protection and not having that defensive center, in the game. And so now we've had to make adjustments from that, but you see why coaches kind of load up. And in today's world, if you load up, you're probably going to lose a lot of people, because not all those people, if they stay healthy, are going to be able to play. So just going from one season to another and just trying to do what's best for the lineup that you have coming back, and then just getting better. Even when you have success like we did the previous year, you're still trying to do that. And I think our staff has done a good job of that. Obviously, we've made some mistakes at times in looking at things, but nobody's perfect right there. That's a really hard thing to do. So to see the consistency, is a great sign, for our program. But the way we go about it, I think that combination, there's not a lot of people like us that has that kind of consistency and the path that we take.
First of all, any update on Fletcher?
Yeah. I don't think he'll practice. Well, we'll see. But he'll definitely play. He just needs to rest it right now. He's been getting treatment. Saw the doctor, so it's really kind of a sprain with his elbow there. It looked worse than it did. It swelled up right away, and I thought that was the bone when he walked off. That's what scared me right away, and the way he held it or didn't, right? Kind of hung down. You can always see that with a shoulder. But no, we expect him to play. I don't think he'll practice tomorrow. I think we're going to have rest and try to get him ready once we get there on what would that be on Wednesday?
You're saying not practice tomorrow, but would likely practice before the game?
Yes, without question. Oh yes,
without
question.
When you were asked about getting to the Final Four before the season, you used the term belief in that, and this will be the first time we've taken a team in after that, after that. Is there any benefit to that for you guys in terms of focus, in terms of playing looser?
Well, I think there's always benefit of experience, and so a coach would rather have the experience than not have it. It doesn't guarantee success, but it definitely raises the percentage. of guys that have just been here, and we've been in these situations and had success and had failure, right? And so like for us, in terms of our respect for our opponent, it's going to be about as high as it can be, because we understand that there's great players everywhere. And this team here, like they have a 10-man rotation, and you know they're all juniors and seniors. I think except for one guy. I think they might have one sophomore. Their big kid is a sophomore, but the rest of them are juniors and seniors. So yeah, just having that experience of being in the tournament, you know, playing. I think Caleb First has played 10 games in the NCAA tournament, right? Where Braden and Fletch and TK, they've played 7. If I got that correct, right? So like, you know, we have some guys that have been there. Miles Colvin is, has been in the tournament and played games. Cam Heide has been in the tournament and played games. It's like right down the line. So we do have that experience, but you still got to go out there and, you know, compete and play. But you know, you definitely rather have it than not have it.
Each team is, you know, unique in its own way. Has there been anything with this squad that you've had to do differently, whether it's teaching or just communicating with them this season?
Yeah, you know, for us, don't get away from like who you are from an offensive standpoint. I thought other night, like we got really good shots. Like we're a top 10 offense in the country, and we got to continue to do that. And so when you miss shots, frustration mounts. And that's what I really try to emphasize with them, to be positive. I'm not positive when they turn the ball over, right? I'm not at all. And so take good shots, take care of the basketball, be aggressive. And other night we did that. And you know, we shot 33% from the field. You know, give Michigan credit, but we kept getting good shots. The problem is they kept getting good shots. But we had 14 offensive rebounds, we had 5 turnovers. I liked our effort. We got to do a better job defensively in that game. But when our offense does what it's capable of doing, we do make those shots, whatever, we help our defense. It's not an end-all, be-all, you still got to defend, but it does help us. It keeps us out of transition. We just have to, you know, keep giving a good effort and stay positive, but we have to be aggressive on the offensive end. And we got to do a good job of keeping the ball out of the paint.
Now, you have a lot of guys on your roster who have not only won a lot in college, but a lot of these guys have won state championships in high school. Won, you know, walk-ons who played in the state finals in high school.
Right.
When you put that many players together who have won at every level, how much value does that add to a team in a one-and-done format?
Well, that's an important piece. I think it's something you look at in recruiting a lot. Like you want somebody who comes in as a walk-on, or you want somebody that comes in that's in a role or coming off the bench or starting whatever, that have had success. You know, you want people with winning ways. And a lot of times coaches will take guys and they got to break them of those habits, because now it was about scoring, or it was about, you know, things that do not relate to winning. And you know, you have to be, you know, you have to have substance as a player. And we think we got a lot of guys with substance that, you know, they've come from good high school programs and they've had success here.
So when you've been at your best defensively this season, it's been the scheme working, but it's been this game working in large part because they've been doing it with energy. How do you sort of renew the energy?
Yeah, I think you gotta be good on the basketball no matter what somebody's doing, whether they're just driving you or they're playing in ball screen defense or they're posting up or they're doing dribble downs, which more people do now. Like, you gotta be good on the basketball and do your job. The other thing is, you know, we led the Big Ten in steals, and I think at times that helped us, and I think at times that hurt us. You know, you have to understand about when to be aggressive, but when we do a better job disrupting the basketball, that's anybody though, that's any college program. Like, you can't just sit there and let people pass the ball where they want in ball screen defense. You can't let somebody post up and just pass it wherever he wants. So disrupting, that's what I kind of talk about disrupting the basketball. You got to be able to disrupt the basketball, and you got to do a better job on the ball. When we do a better job on the ball, and we give more resistance there, and we make people score over us, we have more success. When people are getting angles and people are driving, and that's just not us, that's a lot of people. That's why you see people drive the basketball so hard and get the ball in the paint. And that's what we're all trying to do. Like, we sit there at halftime of every game and talk about, all right, here's the percentages of us getting in the paint offensively, and here's the percentages of us stopping them from getting in there. When our numbers are good, you know, our numbers are good both ways, you know, we're in business. When our numbers are bad both ways, it's you know, we're starting the second half normally down 6 to 10 points. And that's what we just have to keep doing, because those numbers don't lie.
Matt, every single day, every single year on Selection Sunday, there's always the debate on who gets in, bubble teams, etc.
Yeah.
You guys are obviously the only team from Indiana now that IU didn't make it. Was that surprising, having played them a couple times, that they didn't get in over some of these other teams?
Yeah, it was something for us at Southern Illinois. I was a part of a staff, and I left, but they went, I think, 6 times total, and I was a part of 3 of them, and 5 out of those 6 were at large, which at that level, not 6 years in a row that happened. And the last 3 years, Chris Lowry was the head coach. I was the head coach for 1 year, and then Bruce Weber was the head coach the first 2 years, and then Chris and I were his assistants before that. And I kind of reflect on that every time people talk about the bubble, because you were so anxious when we didn't win our tournament. Chris won the tournament once, but Coach Weber didn't win it either time, and we didn't win it, even though we had a really good year the year I was the head coach. But you just sit there as you're gonna, a couple of those years, Chris had like a 4 seed, maybe a 5 seed another year. So he put himself in a position, we were 8-9 the year I was there. But when you kind of hover in there, it's hard, man. It's hard sitting there for a week, because they would end their tournament a week before. So like, that's what I always reflect back on that. And we haven't been in that position maybe except at one time here, in terms where we didn't know if we'd get in or not, maybe the first year. But yeah, it's difficult. Like when you go and they put those 5 people up, then they take their names off, and then they just show you the numbers. Like, I don't like to look at the metrics. I think that gets crazy. I just like to look at, have you beaten, the number one thing I look at is where you're at against the field, and then where you're at against the bubble, because as you drop down, it's your whole body of work though. Like that's what people have to understand. It's your whole body of work. It's not just like they used to do last 10, which is stupid, because like that's your schedule, right? You don't set your schedule. Like, what if your toughest games are the last 10? What if your easiest games are the last 10, right? So you have an advantage just because your schedule was there, and now you're giving them that. They threw that out. But obviously when you get there and you get close, like anything can happen. And that's why, I always talk about trying to win a game, right? Like when you try to win a game, if you allow it to be close, crazy things can happen. Don't allow it to be close. Like, it's the same thing here. That's what we would always talk about at Southern Illinois when we get to that point, said like, all right, we're cool. We just can't lose anymore. They'd be like, we got 6 games left. Exactly. You can't lose anymore. Period. It's where we're at. Don't worry about it. We got to rebound. We got to defend. We got to take care of it. Well, we can't lose. We're good. If we don't lose, we'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And then they kind of look at you the first time like, well, hell, I got some pressure, right? But hey, that's just where you're at. That's just where you are. When you get in those moments and you get to that point, you got to win at the end then. You got to win in 1 more game, or you got to win 2 more games. And then if you don't, sometimes you still get in, right? And if you don't, then you don't get in. You're going to go back and reflect to that. So it's a tough business. And I don't see how it ever stops, even if they put more teams in. You're still going to draw a line somewhere, right? And then you're going to say, what about this team versus that team? And that's difficult.
Matt, back here. Analysts always talk about playing your best basketball this time of year. You guys, though, only won 3 of your last 9 games. Do you feel
Right.
like you're close to playing your best basketball right now? Because it seems like if you just look at the record, that you're not quite there yet.
Right. There's no doubt about that. Like, that's the point. Like, you see, if you'd have went into the Big Ten tournament, like what you just said, Michigan would have won it. They weren't playing their best basketball, but they won the tournament, right? And then you look at other people and you say, hey man, they're playing the best right there. They're going to win it, and then they don't win it. And like, that's the magic of what we're going to, is because we've been here before and won 8 out of 9 and gotten beat. We won our last 5 games and had a 1-16 loss, right? And you're like, hey, you just won the Big Ten tournament. You're doing great. No, you're done. Like, you go home. So like, that can make a lot of sense what you said, and that can mean nothing. You have to, I think Braden said it best the other day, like, you have to wash away the past. You got to feel good about yourself. You got to play, you got to compete, but you also got to go out there and have fun. You got to be loose. You got to be tough and stingy from a defensive standpoint, but you got to be loose offensively and have fun. So I hope you're wrong. But you've been like, that's what makes it, that's what makes the tournament special.
I've been wrong before, so.
Yeah, haven't we all?
Matt, you mentioned Braden. Obviously, he's getting ready for another NCAA tournament. What have you seen from him over the course of this year, dealing with the ups and downs as he gets ready for March?
Yeah, well, I think be excited about being a 4 seed and like you've achieved something. Like, you know how many people would love to be in our position? Like, we've had really, really high goals, and we've raised their expectations in this program, so sometimes things are taken for granted. You see all those people cheering, and when we hear our name, like, we're excited, but like we're not cheering like that way, the same as everybody else. Like, but we have to be excited about playing. I think that's, you know, and having fun. But he's been great. Like, he's the MVP of the league. He was the preseason MVP of the league. You know, he was able to go out there and do great things, do special things. You know, trying to break his own records from the previous year when it comes to assists. But just being a leader and learning from game to game, taking what the game gives you. People are going to go at you a little bit different. Put 2 on the basketball, trap you, blitz you. You know, he's seen every ball screen coverage, no different than Trey Kaufman's seen every kind of post double or people running at him. So, like have fun with it. Like, don't. But he's been fabulous. He's been really good.
To your point about being excited about being a 4 seed, last year your team kind of came in with the weight of the world, you know, on their shoulders, handled it really well. Is this a bit of the way the season ended, things like that? Is this an opportunity for Purdue again to maybe sneak up on some people?
Well, you hope you're on edge. Like, as a competitor, you would like to think that you don't need something to take place to be on edge, but we all know that it can help. And so, like, now when you have that loss in the NCAA tournament, and offensively we just we didn't shoot the basketball well, but like that, it's got to bother you. Like that feeling you get. I talked about it the other day with our team. So the feeling you have, like when you lose games, and like how that doesn't go away, but how it helps you from a human nature standpoint. Get ready for that next game. That's what you want. You know, you want to be on edge, and you can't forget, because the season gets long. It's like, this is what you work for. You work for it to compete at this level in this tournament and have fun with it.
Yeah. Just to follow up real quick on Fletcher. So I assume, based on your comments earlier, they've ruled out any sort of break or fracture or anything like that?
No, it's a sprain. It's more like, in layman's terms, it's a sprain. Yeah.
Anything else?